it's Valerie. Welcome back to this week's What's for Dinner. If you are new here, I would love if you'd hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And don't forget to leave a like or a comment down below because it really does help my channel. Today's video, I've got some meals for you, some new meals. I know I had missed a couple What's for Dinners being gone and whatnot, but one of my favorites for the week is going to be lasagna soup. And I actually saw in the kitchen with Mama Mel make a lasagna soup like right after I had thought up an idea for this. I have a lot of pasta sauce I needed to use up based on expiration dates, so I was looking for recipes that weren't your basic like spaghetti, you know, and I've had like ziti recently, so I saw lasagna soup using pasta sauce. Well, her recipe is actually not using pasta sauce. It uses like, you know, like diced tomatoes and whatnot. So if you're looking for a recipe that is not using pasta sauce, go ahead and check her channel out. I will leave that link in the description box down below. And then but it came out really great with the pasta sauce, so if you're interested in seeing that, just keep watching and let's just get started. So if you follow me over on Instagram, you'll have seen that we went on vacation last week. We went to Big Bear with our friends, had a great time, ate lots of yummy food, and I did promise y'all that I would show you anything we ate last week. So I did get some pictures of a few things, and I'll show you those here. If you're not interested in that, just get past to the meals that I start making. But some of the food we had out there was this place called Tropicali, and they had bowls with like rice, and they had like barbacoa or carnitas, teriyaki chicken, different things. So I got a bowl that had like the mango and pineapple, and it was so good. I got a barbacoa, and my boyfriend got like their version of like torta. So the whole theme is like Hawaiian theme, like rasta, and it was a torta with a waffle on the bottom and then the meat on top of it. He said it was really, really good. And then we got these slush things that they make there that they recommended. It was like such Hawaiian flavors. We got a mixture of like a tropical like guava, orange, and then mixed that with like a coconut milk one. It was really tasty. And this is a dessert, but it was definitely worth mentioning because of how amazing it was. And it's from a place called Wrap 'em Up, Stick 'em Up. And we needed to try these like deep fried cheesecake. And we got the strawberry one. It was incredible. So amazing. My boyfriend also wanted to try out the deep fried Twinkie and the Oreos. So we got some of those as well, but nothing compared to that cheesecake. And sorry for not getting a better picture of this, but we did do some food in the cabin as well some of the nights. So we grilled up some marinated chicken and some hot links and some zucchini, and I made some macaroni salad. It's so good. I'm gonna have to do a video on that for you guys because I really enjoy that. And if you've never had the tuxedo cake from Costco, it is absolutely heavenly. And how cute was it this time? They put a clover on it. And lastly, I made some chili. I've made this chili before, so I will leave a link to that video in the description box down below. It is the Five Marys chili, but I had leftovers, so I brought it home, and when we got home, I had it that night for dinner as just like leftovers to use it up. So I just made some crescent rolls to go with that on the side. But in the original video, I do make the Five Marys cornbread and sweet honey butter to go with it, and it's amazing that way. So just look down below in the description box for that. So for this, I'm getting a large skillet over medium-high heat. You can add a little oil if you want. I never find that really necessary in a non-stick pan, so I'm adding in my pound of ground beef. Mine's still slightly frozen. I'm breaking that up a little bit with my meat chopping tool, and I'm kind of letting that just like sit and get a nice crust on it. As you can see, mine's very brown. It has nice brown bits. You can season that with some salt and pepper. I didn't get that on video apparently. And then once it's cooked through, just remove it to a plate and to that same skillet, leaving a little bit of that grease drippings. We're going to add a couple tablespoons of unsalted butter or salted butter, whatever you have. I think I use salted. And I let that kind of melt a little bit, and then I'm adding in some diced onion. It's about half a cup to 3/4 cup of diced onion and about 12 ounces of sliced mushrooms. I am using baby bala mushrooms. If you only have white mushrooms, that'll work as well. And I'm seasoning that with half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And then we're just sauteing this until the onions and mushrooms are softened and like browning. And most of the liquid that they will release from them is going to evaporate. And then we'll add some garlic. Now that's to your preference. It's about 2 cloves. I probably added a little bit more, and I'm just using the squeeze kind because I'm trying to use up this container that I have. And I stirred that together, and we're going to let that cook for another minute or so. And then the recipe that I'll have linked for you says to add in a 1/4 cup of cognac or wine. I skipped that part entirely. And if you needed to deglaze your pan at this point, you could use a 1/4 cup of broth, but I didn't need to. So now I have added the ground beef back to the pan, and I coated it with 3 tablespoons of flour, and I'm stirring that all together to like coat the beef in the flour, or all the mixture in the flour, and we're gonna let that cook for a couple minutes to cook away that raw flour taste. Then I'm adding in 4 cups of beef broth. I'm just using this container. It's 4 cups worth of beef broth. And then to that, I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of paprika. Now the recipe calls for a Hungarian paprika. I don't have that, so I just used whatever I had. I'm sure it was perfectly fine. And then it says fresh thyme, 1.5 teaspoons of fresh thyme. I didn't have any. I probably added like a 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme to that, gave it all a good stir. And then I'm adding in 8 ounces of dry egg noodles. These are the wide egg noodles, and I'm just pressing those down into the liquid to get them as covered as I can get them. And once we bring that to a boil, I'll cover the top of that with the lid and reduce the heat, and we're going to simmer that for 7 to 10 minutes. I do believe this took me the full 10 minutes. And I did stir that every couple minutes per the instructions in the recipe. And if you just need a couple extra minutes for your noodles to cook, that's perfectly fine. You know, all of our cook times might be a little bit different. Just get it to the doneness that you prefer. And then I'm stirring in some fresh parsley. It says 3 tablespoons. I don't know if I had quite that much, but I added that in, chopped it up, added it in, and then some sour cream. It says depending on how creamy you like your stroganoff, to add 1/2 cup to 2/3 cup. I kept adding. Like, I added in some at first, and I tasted it, and I added more, and I also added in a little bit of lemon juice to that to give a little bit more of that soury taste. Now, I love that when it comes to stroganoff, so I just kept doing that until it was to my taste, and I added a little bit of salt as well. And I served this up with some crescent rolls, and this was delicious. Like, I haven't had stroganoff in a long time, and not normally with ground beef either, but it was really good with ground beef, and I just really enjoyed the flavor of that. I haven't had a Filet-O-Fish sandwich from McDonald's in forever, but I wanted to create something like that. Pretty easy, quick meal as well. And my boyfriend is a huge fan of like fish fillets or like fish sticks. He loves that. So I knew I had to make something like this for him. And this is so easy because you can just cook up whatever fish stick or fillet fish that you like. I'm using the Gorton's brand here, and I'm just making whatever amount would work best for us. I typically use 1.5 of the fillets per sandwich, depending on the size of the bun. And then for a sauce, I'm just combining about 1/4 cup's worth of mayonnaise with about 1 to 2 tablespoons worth of relish and a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons worth of lemon juice. And that's just kind of to taste. I add a little bit of salt as well. Now you might have to double this up depending how many sandwiches you're making. I'd say for us it worked for about 5 sandwiches depending how much sauce you like on yours. And while the fillets of fish were still hot out of the oven, I added a slice of American cheese on them. That also helps me bind together that one fillet plus the half to make it fit on the bun and keep it together. You can omit cheese if that's your preference. You can use a different type of cheese. You can also add lettuce to this. I didn't have any, or I would have added some iceberg lettuce. That would be really good on it. And I just went ahead and air fried some potato wedge fries to go on the side. And this was a very quick, easy, and delicious meal. So I had found some pepperoni in my pantry that I saw needed to get used up, so I thought no better way than to make some pizza, and I wanted some French bread pizzas. So I also got an idea to do garlic bread French bread pizza. I've done it with like a meatball sub before, so I thought that'd be amazing. So to a bowl, I am combining 1 stick of butter that is softened. You can melt it if you need to as well. I'm using some garlic, at least a few cloves worth of garlic, as much garlic as you like, but you can also use garlic powder. If you do that, you'll want it melted butter so it can like dissolve the granules of garlic. And then some fresh parsley, again, at least a couple tablespoons worth of that, and even more if you like that. And then take a loaf of French bread and slice it in half lengthwise and spread that buttery mixture on top of both of the open sides of your bread. And next, I recommend you bake that at 425 degrees or so for about 5 to 6 minutes. That's going to help that become actual garlic bread and crisp up some, because once you add toppings, if you do it now, it's just not going to crisp up very much. It's going to be a little bit soggy. So do that first, then pull it out, and then pour your pizza sauce on top. I'm using the Rayo sauce, and I put some mozzarella cheese and pepperonis. You can, of course, do any toppings that you like. Then stick that back in the oven for about 10 minutes or so. However done you want that, you might want a couple extra minutes. I just sliced that up, and I didn't really have much vegetables to serve with that, so I had some cherry tomatoes I needed to use up, so I just had those with some ranch on the side. And y'all, I'm a huge French bread pizza lover, but making it garlic bread was just like even better. I loved it so much, and I of course loved how quick and easy that was. So if you like pizza, definitely give this a try. It's so easy and so delicious. Okay, so for this lasagna soup, I'm taking a pot. I'm using my Dutch oven for this. You can use whatever pot you have for soups. I've browned up a pound of ground beef, and when there was no pink remaining, I'm adding in some diced onion. It's about one small diced onion in there, and I'm gonna let that soften. You could use any veggies you want to use up. So I had a little bit of like red bell pepper in my fridge. I figured chop it up, put it in here. Whatever veggies you like in your lasagna, anything you like in it, add it to this. And then I added some squeezed garlic, just again to preference, a couple cloves worth, and then stirred that up. I even think I seasoned it with some Italian seasoning, like the meat, and maybe some garlic powder. And then I took this 24-ounce jar of pasta sauce. This is the Pioneer Woman garden vegetable, so it has some vegetables in it, which I really like in lasagna. I'm a huge like vegetable in my lasagna person. Next, add in 4 cups of chicken broth. I'm using this chicken stock from Aldi. These cartons are 4 cups worth, 32 ounces. And I saved some of that at first and poured it into my pasta sauce jar to get the remaining pasta sauce out of that. We want all that flavor. I stirred this together and I tasted it, so I needed to add some things. So I added some more Italian seasoning. I had found some like squeezed tube of tomato paste in my refrigerator, so I'm adding that. It's maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons worth, and then some salt to bring out some of those flavors, and some more garlic powder. Now, like I mentioned in the intro of this video, you can do this using like diced tomatoes and all that, and if you really want that style, you can go and check out Mel from In the Kitchen with Mama Mel. And anyways, so I let this simmer in the pot for about 5-10 minutes, and then add your lasagna noodles. These are the oven ready ones. I don't think you need the oven ready ones. I used about 9 of them and broke them up. Now this would have been smarter for me to break them up while it was simmering, so I could have just dumped them in all at one time, but it's okay, it worked out. And then stir that together, place the lid back on the pot, and continue to let that simmer for like 10 more minutes. You might need a few more minutes just depending on, you know, the heat that you're at, how big your noodles are and whatnot. This is not going to be super soupy, so if you want more of like a way soupier texture, just go ahead and add more broth. And while that's simmering, I'm going to make the creamy topping for this soup, which is the main part for me. I really enjoy it. So 1 cup of ricotta to a bowl, and I'm gonna also add in 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. You can grate your own. I just have this bag kind to use up. And then a 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan. Again, I just had this regular green tubed one in the refrigerator to use up, so using that, it all works. And then chop up some fresh basil, maybe a couple to 2 to 3 tablespoons worth. I didn't have very much, so I just used whatever I had on hand. You could add more to your liking. And of course I added this all to the smallest bowl ever and was trying to mix it together and making a huge mess, so I had to move it to another bowl that was a little bit more like deep so I could stir this together. And yeah, just stir that, taste it. If you want to add anything else, go ahead and do that. I think it's really like a calm but very creamy, cool, delicious flavor that really complements the soup very well. I served this with a side salad that's just cherry tomatoes and lettuce and like Italian dressing and some garlic bread. But we loved this soup. It was so good. You know, my boyfriend is a huge fan of lasagna, so this was a nice treat for him. He really enjoyed it, but without me having to put in all the work that lasagna can take. And this last night is just fast food. We hadn't been to Yoshinoya in a while, so I decided to go get there and get some bowls. I like the their like shaved beef basically, and I like to get the vegetables. And normally I get white rice, but they came out with these new udon noodles, so I had to try them and they were really good. And then my boyfriend got the teriyaki chicken, that's what he always gets, and then the vegetable and white rice. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, and I hope you all are having a great day.